Think about one challenge in your community or in the global community that you're most passionate about, or that you think is really the challenge of your time. And what is one? It could be a small action. You're going to find a organization in your community. You're going to start one. You're going to learn more about it. Those are all good actions. Please write it down. Make a promise to yourself that you're not just going to sit here for 2 days and go home and be like, yeah, I saw the UN. Go home and actually try and make a difference, even if it's a small one. Please write it down. If you write it down, you will have made a promise to yourself. And then number 2, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. Number 2, think of one person who you've met from another country here, who you'll stay in touch with when you leave. I now have friends all over the world. For when I go, I have a couch to sleep on. I have cultures to learn about. Think about at least one person. If you can't think of one, you better go find one. You have about an hour and a half to make a friend from another country. Please do that. And then number 3, please join the alumni organization of this event so that these 2 days will be carried on for the other 363, the International Youth Council. We're all volunteer, we're made up of youth just like you, and we need you, we want you, and you are us and we are you. InternationalYouthCouncil.com. We have 10 volunteers from IYC here today. We have a table outside. Where are my IYC volunteers? Oh man, I told them all to be in here. I gotta just give a quick shout out to Arjun, Madeline, Cynthia, Waleed, Ahmed, Kathy, Edward, Jeremy, Christine, Nada, Edwina, Fernando, Ashley, and Lindsay. You guys are wonderful. These youth have come from all around the world to help you all, and I hope you'll join us. Thank you. And now I have my greatest honor of introducing the project coordinator of the Youth Assembly, who's worked tirelessly to make this all possible for all of you. She's wonderful, and I hope you'll please thank and welcome Judith Bueving to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Can you guys all hear me?
You gotta put it closer. Put it closer.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamie, and Joyce, Cosmo, and Sienna for this interesting panel on youth academic development. I now would like to introduce you to our final keynote speaker. Her name is Kendall Ciesemier, who is the founder and executive director of Kids Caring for Kids, which is a non-for-profit organization that is working to inspire and engage young people to help provide basic human needs to children living in sub-Saharan Africa. Since Kids Caring for Kids founding, Kendall's work with Kids Caring for Kids has been recognized by a variety of organizations. She has been honored as Chicagoan of the Year by Chicago Magazine, Zeitgeist Young Mind by Google, one of Glamour's magazine's Women's of the Year, and one of the Youth Service America's top 25 most powerful and influential young people. Today, Kendall is in her second year of studying sociology, journalism, and theology at Georgetown University. We are thrilled, excited, and honored to have our final keynote speaker here with us today. Please welcome Kendall. Thank you.
You're gonna turn yours off.
Hello everyone, my name is Kendall Ciesemier, and I'm going to tell you a story. Nearly 9 years ago, Nearly 9 years ago, I sat down with my parents to watch an Oprah Winfrey Christmas special that highlighted the lives of African AIDS orphans. The images on the television screen shook my 5th grade reality. I saw children walking miles and miles without shoes, hand in hand with their siblings, presumably the only family they had left, smiling from ear to ear. And I had some questions. Where were their parents? Why didn't they have shoes? If they didn't have shoes or parents, why were they still smiling? These unanswered questions troubled me, and as I thought about my own life and my own reality, I was in awe of what appeared to be their unwavering hope. As my parents and I watched the story of 13-year-old Candy Sile, a girl who had lost her father about a year before the show taping, and her mother just 2 weeks before the show's taping, to AIDS, I began to imagine myself, 11-year-old Kendall Ciesemier, growing up in losing my parents and having to take care of my younger brothers and sisters because both of them had died of AIDS, living with no running water or electricity. And I was just in awe of what appeared to be her strength and her unwavering hope. Now, having experienced struggle in my own life, her pain resonated with me. It was only 6 months later. It was only 6 months later that I found myself in the intensive care unit, a place where life meets death, day meets night, and hope is really all you have. Enduring 2 liver transplants is by far the hardest challenge that I have faced. But ironically, it's a challenge that has now led me to walk hand in hand with the children that I saw on that television screen. When I was only 8 weeks old, I was diagnosed with biliary atresia, a chronic liver disease that threatened my normal childhood. It plagued my life with illness, surgery, and uncertainty. Within the first year of my life, I saw 12 different specialists for a variety of medical conditions. Unlike a common cough or cold, the sickness present in my body would not just subdue with a little Advil or Triaminic. Growing up with a chronic illness threatened my normal childhood, as I said. I went to more doctor's appointments, I left school early for therapy, and I could not produce enough muscle to do the monkey bars, which was a small task, but it meant a lot to me at that age. I kept my medical condition hidden, embarrassed by the scars across my abnormally large belly. I sought to define myself by something other than my illness, to turn my struggles into an opportunity for someone else. After the Oprah special ended that night, I knew I had seen the opportunity I was waiting for. My chance to give my life more purpose than an illness, and my power to live beyond my circumstances. Immediately after the show ended, I ran upstairs to search for a way to help. And I did what everyone else would do when they don't know what to do. I Googled it. I Googled AIDS orphans in Africa, and I found World Vision, which is a world relief organization that runs an orphan sponsorship program. Now, the result of that search led me to find an 8-year-old, Judith, from Mauritania, who needed my help. And so immediately I pulled out my birthday and Christmas money, amounting to $360 cash, into an envelope, and I addressed it to World Vision, and I asked my mom for a stamp. Months later, I received a letter from Judith. She was doing so well in school for the first time, beginning 2nd grade and learning how to read, add, and write. I could not believe the amount of change that I had made in this one little girl's life, and I knew I needed to do more. And I knew that with a little help, I could do just that. So that summer, I underwent 2 liver transplants. My dad donated half of his liver in order to save my life. Unfortunately, due to a life-threatening aneurysm, I needed a second transplant from a deceased donor only months later. During this time, I asked that in lieu of gifts and flowers, friends and family contribute to helping serve a larger community in the community of Musele, Zambia, instead of giving me teddy bears or other stuffed animals. And with their generosity and the help of World Vision, we sponsored the village in Musele. By the end of the summer, I had raised about $15,000 as kids across the country, hearing of my effort, started holding their own bake sales, lemonade stands, garage sales, penny wars, and other fundraisers. As a result of this snowball effect, I decided to officially organize my effort, calling it Kids Caring for Kids. I thought that we could be kids that together, globally, collectively, could be caring for these children that I had seen on that show. And that then they would be caring for their siblings and their neighbors as well. In 2005, Kids Caring for Kids became an official 501c3 nonprofit organization. Now since then, Kids Caring for Kids has been able to support 8 projects in 5 countries in Africa. We've built a dormitory for orphan girls, an orphan care center, a community center, and a clinic. We've provided over 400 special field bikes, indoor plumbing, healthy meals, and water wells. Over 8,000 kids across the country have become directly involved in our programs, and over 8,000 individuals in sub-Saharan Africa have benefited. Now, it's incredible to me that my It's incredible to me that my One Heart action has grown into something that I could have never imagined or predicted. My intent was to give, to help, to make a difference. And while that has happened, truly the surprise has been that I've gotten back so much more than I've given. Now, I know this is cliche, but just hear me out. You're probably expecting me to highlight these things as being what I've gotten back from giving. A surprise visit from President Clinton to my high school, and immediately being whisked away to be on the Oprah show. To meet the woman with the show who inspired it all. I tried not to cry. Or a canoodling of sorts with Bono, wearing his sunglasses. Note, he let me wear his sunglasses because I was crying. And sure, I've met people and been places and been given unbelievable opportunities. But what is much, much more significant and more important to me was this moment. Coming face to face with one of the little girls who helped through Kids Caring for Kids. Isn't she beautiful? I lose myself, and I lose my still very uncertain circumstances in my love for her. By far, the greatest thing that I've gotten from service is the power to redefine my purpose. Loving these kids has provided me with a sense of purpose during the most vulnerable and difficult time of my life. This is what saved me, and this is what kept me fighting. I knew I had more to do and more love to give. So Bono once talked about the concept of currency, and what he said really stuck with me. Bono says that his strong voice and advocacy and philanthropy is just simply an exchange of his rock star currency. Essentially, it's an exchange of his platform and his power for real change. Now, service has allowed me the opportunity to redefine myself, to cash in my sympathy currency, the result of having 2 liver transplants, in exchange for something much greater. I did not have to live with the label of Kendall the sick girl. I could be Kendall, the girl who wanted to help others. So this is a picture of a mountain. That's pretty clear, right? But what is unclear and what is uncertain are what your mountains, your struggles will be. And note, I didn't say mountain, I said mountains. There will be moments in your life when your world feels like it's crashing down before your eyes, and all you really want to do is hide in your dog's crate. But one thing I know from experience is that you can find your power in powerlessness through service. This is not an earth-shattering concept, and it's very simple in its principle. Service can be anyone's power, it can be anyone's purpose. There are no barriers to entry in giving. You don't have to be the captain of the football team, an A-plus student. You don't have to earn a 6-figure salary or even own a car. In our weakest, most vulnerable times, in fact, we can be powerful for others. We can be powerful by mowing our neighbor's yard without request. We can be powerful by acknowledging the people we pass by in our daily routines. We can be powerful by intentionally opening our hearts and minds to the needs and desires of others in a very small or large way. Service can be your power and weakness. In this great big world filled with both personal and global challenges, we have the power to challenge our realities. That's what this assembly is about, right? Gearing us all up to challenge the challenges facing not only our potential, but also human potential. Isn't that why the Millennium Development Goals were created? So we could all come together around these challenges, the challenges to human potential, and challenge them. I'm here to tell you that you can challenge both your personal challenges and global challenges at the same time through committing your life to service. And I've experienced this firsthand in my life. In order to challenge the idea that my life would be defined by a relentless illness, an illness that even today challenges my everyday certainty, I chose to challenge the challenges that impact the lives of others. To commit my life to challenge the reality that kids will grow up with no parents because of preventable diseases. To challenge the reality that girls will be sold into sex trafficking in order to feed their families. to challenge the reality that dirty water kills around 5,000 children a day globally. These are global challenges that do not have to be. And that is if we choose to put up a fight, if we choose to meet them in the boxing ring and challenge them to a knockout. These global challenges that we have are not just challenges in the sense that they challenge people's livelihood. These global challenges are really moral challenges of our time. The idea that I think first about my own personal success and livelihood versus the lives of others is a moral challenge. Here's the question that it all boils down to. If we have the power to challenge these global challenges, extreme poverty, hunger, disease, climate change, will we choose to challenge them? If we think that it's just simply not right that there are 14 million orphans worldwide due to AIDS, are we going to step up and do something about it? It is not enough to say that we think these are challenges, these things are unjust. We have to stand up and we have to do something about them. Now, I know, as much as you, that it can be fairly daunting to look at all the problems that we have in our world and start to take action. However, taking action can really be so simple. We all have talents and gifts and passions, and that's where you should look to start. What are the kinds of things that you love to do? Is it dance, music, engineering, business? Are you really good with numbers or not so much? First, attempt to identify what your talents are and what you're really passionate about. The next step is to identify the world's greatest needs. There are so many challenges that face us today. So what is the one challenge that really pulls at your heart? Is it homelessness, malaria, climate change, etc.? Identify what social problem most angers and frustrates you. Now the final step is to pair these two things together. We are looking for the place where our greatest passion and the world's greatest need meets. This is how we can begin to challenge the challenges that pull most on our heart by living out our greatest passions. Now, when Jackie Rotman was 14 years old, she lived and breathed to dance. She was also struck by how many children were living in her community that needed a place to go after school, an activity to invest in order to stay out of trouble. So she started Everybody Dance Now, a nonprofit that provides free dance lessons to children from impoverished backgrounds to help empower them and teach them leadership. Now, Jackie is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. She started with one community, one passion, one problem. And now her organization has spread nationwide. What I mean by all of this is that you can be a businessman and use your talents for the homeless. You could be a lawyer and use your talents for the juvenile detention system. Service does not come in one shape or size. And if we could all use our talents for others, we could really kick these challenges aside by simply living out our passions in service to others. Our world's challenges aren't small, but neither is our ability to challenge them. Even in our weakest times, we can be powerful for others. We can choose to turn our own personal challenges into opportunities, and then we can turn those opportunities into real change seen through the lives of people all around the world. I'm so grateful for the role that service has played in my life, as it has given me a tremendous purpose to live and to live beyond myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Kendall. There is some time for Q&A. Is there anyone that has a question for Kendall? Yep. Just press the button. Yep.
Hello. Thank you very much for this presentation. My name is Ciesemier. I'm from Georgia. Enjoy Youth for Democracy. And my question is, well, as you know, you cannot solve the problem until you know the roots of it. And I have a question: where does it come from that kids cannot get education, that they're outside, they do not have clothes, and how can it be possibly solved? So this is the question.
That's a really good question and also a really hard question. I think if we knew how to combat all of that, in the most effective way, we would have it. We'd have it solved. I think there are so many different ways to go about addressing those problems, but I think the problems that you mentioned were all of a root problem of poverty, global poverty. And I think that really in looking to empower people in their communities, empower them to be small business owners, empower them to use what resources they have in their community and be able to start their own business. And this reminds me of microfinance and that kind of thing, providing loans to small local business owners to help them start their business and succeed. And I think that when we can provide economic means for people to put food on the table for their children, put them through school, that is really what we're trying to do, is allow people to live successful, healthy lives and provide for their families. So I think that really you have to look at it from the root problem, which is this global poverty issue. And there are so many different ways to address that. So I think that you can look at a variety of different avenues in order to work through that. And it doesn't have to be just through one way. And I would encourage you to think of what way you personally can contribute by using your own knowledge, your own community, your own passions, talents, those kinds of things. Because everyone here, it's going to take everyone here to solve global poverty. It's going to take everyone here and more. So if we all can address just simple things that we as one person can do with our personal talents and gifts, then we can begin to crack at it. But I think that all of those problems that you mentioned really kind of the root cause is this poverty that we see.
Thank you, Kendall. I actually have a question. Just for the public to take home, what would you advise them if they want to start a non-for-profit organization? What do you think their first step, what should be their first step?
Well, I really think that looking back on my own journey with Kids Caring for Kids, I was 11 when I started it, so obviously very young, very naive, and had a lot of support and backing from my parents. I know a child can do something like that without parental support or adult support in some way. But I think that there are so many amazing organizations out there looking to help empower young people through their work. And so I really think that even kind of more of a different way to look at it is looking at the organizations that are already doing this kind of sustainable, thorough work in the area that you're interested in. And really in connecting with them, meeting with them, talking with them. And if you really find that there's something that they're not addressing that you really think needs to be addressed, I think that's when you would look to start a nonprofit or something like that. But I think that there are so many amazing organizations out there doing work that would love if a young person would come and say, I want to help, I want to be on board with this. And so I always think that doing thorough research about what's already out there is the best place to start. Because I just know of so many organizations doing so many wonderful things that need ambassadors to really carry out what they want to do. And so, like I said, I think if you find that there's a problem that's not being addressed, then that's where you should start, is trying to figure out how you could address it through an organization. But you don't necessarily have to, start your own nonprofit to make a difference, to help out in combating these global challenges. There are so many, like I said, there are so many wonderful organizations out there. So really do some internet Google searching. I promise you it will lead you to good paths. So
Google is the answer.
I mean, I think it's a good place to start. I think looking for organizations to partner with, because like I said, they have the resources, they have the time, and they would be so enthusiastic to hear about you wanting to help.
Okay. There's one more question, yes?
Hi,
Hi, Judith. It's Tammy Kesselman.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I just wanted to say something to everyone. If you're looking for a way to start, just building on exactly what Kendall said, yesterday, Taylor Conroy talked about the Change Heroes. Like, that's one way. If you have 33 friends on Facebook, you can just go there and raise $10,000 and do what Kendall's talking about. Literally, by just asking a couple friends to give up a latte a day for 3 months, you can build your own hospital or library or a school. A library or a school or a well in Africa. You can choose where and what you want to do. So it's really easy to have impact, even if your parents aren't there guiding you through it. Or there's an organization called randomkid.org. So it's randomkid.org. That you can look at the projects out there, put your own project up, and Kid Power, and get other people to work with you. Also, DoSomething.org. So if you just look at Do Something and Random Kid, or go to Change Heroes, you can start to make a change and take that first step in really giving back directly, just like what Kendall was talking about, and feeling that one-on-one connection. And then from that, if you see something that you're even more passionate about that's not being addressed there, like she said, then take that and take those people that you're starting to look at that are also organizing and start your own thing.
So Facebook and Google. Is there any more questions? Okay, thank you so much. Please give her another applause. Thanks so much. I would now like to call my executive director, Patrick Sciarratta.
I was like, but I don't think it was It's not like.
Okay, so I think, folks, we are at the point of announcing the recipients of the Resolution Project awards. I see George and Oliver there. May I ask you folks to come up to the front? Rachel, are you coming up also? No? She shakes her head no. She's so kind and soft in the back there. The two tough guys come up.
That's where I'm from.
It's wonderful to see you. I haven't actually seen you all day. It's great to see you. Come on up. And I'd like to introduce Oliver Libby. Oliver and George and Rachel were introduced to me about a year ago by Maher Nasser. You remember Maher spoke with us yesterday and gave a really thrilling introduction to the UN's new focus on youth. We're really grateful for Maher for appearing, but I tell you the truth, I am much more grateful for Maher for introducing me to the Resolution Project. What an amazing organization, and we're really so proud that they find us interesting enough to be part of the Youth Assembly now twice, and we hope again and again in the future. So may I turn it over to Oliver, please.
Well, it's a real pleasure to see you all here. I think one of the most impressive things about Patrick is that he's managed to pull together this Youth Assembly for so many years and to bring you all together. It's in fact for that reason that Resolution is here. What we founded Resolution to do is partner with organizations like Patrick's around the Youth Assembly, where there are students and young leaders like you coming together around the world and learning and hearing from extraordinary people and hoping and planning to make a difference at some point in the future in your lives. That's what we're all about. And what we do is we come to conferences like the Youth Assembly and we bring the Social Venture Challenge. And what the Social Venture Challenge is all about is giving you a pathway to action so that you can begin to lead today. How many times have you all been told that one day you will be important and one day you'll be able to do some of the things that you hear about from these amazing speakers that Patrick and his team have lined up? We're here to say that through the exciting proposals of many of your peers here today, there are students in the audience who will begin their careers of impact right away, right now. They're not waiting, and nor does any one of you. A few things. The Resolution Fellowship is what we give out as the award for the Social Venture Challenge. And what that means is much more than just a grant. We do give a grant to get the project off the ground, but we also assign mentors for a period of several years for each Resolution Fellow. We also give pro bono resources and services that help provide an ecosystem of support for a young social entrepreneur. Essentially, what we're trying to do is free a young leader to exercise the vision and the impact that we know that they're able to do. So that's what the Resolution Fellowship is all about. And the most important thing about the fellowship is that you join a global community of your peers from conferences like the Clinton Global Initiative University, the Youth Assembly at the United Nations, the World Model UN Conference, and many others, to make an impact together as a community and to show each other that it can be done. I just want to give a couple of thank yous. I know everyone's waiting to hear about the winners of the challenge. First of all, we'd like to thank the Youth Assembly, Patrick, Judith, and the whole team for the amazing work they do. And we'd also like to thank George and I really are so blessed to have a team of staff like Rachel and Victoria and Lauren who are here today, and our team of volunteers, board members, judges who are here to help us out. We really couldn't do it without them, and there's 200 of them all together around the world. So thank them also, please. And finally, thank you to the United Nations for hosting us. The UN does such good around the world, and we're all here to really drink in that atmosphere of impact. So to the UN. And now let me turn it over to George to tell you about the actual winners of the competition.
Thanks, Oliver, and thanks again to Patrick and the whole Youth Assembly team. One thing that I like to do is I feel we put a lot of time into thinking about what it is that we're awarding. So on top of all the other things that Oliver mentioned, the winners will also receive a plaque. And it says the following: Resolution Fellowship presented to social entrepreneurs for outstanding dedication to sustainable impact, innovation, teamwork, and a powerful commitment to making positive change and helping others. This is what the Resolution Fellowship is about, and this is what it means to take action in a socially responsible way today. So without further ado, I'll get to announcing our new class of fellows. So the first team, it's the team that brought the project called Care for Empty Nesters, Wang Junsang, Liu Kaini, are you here? If you're here, you can come up. Are you hiding? Oh, there you go. Okay. The team brought forth a project that included visitation services to the elderly, along with other supportive services, all motivated by some work that they'd done on their university campus and in the surrounding community, and that they piloted recently and that they'd like to expand upon. So they'll be awarded a fellowship and also funding of $1,500. The second team is the Mentor for Development in Liberia by Daryl Hodges. Daryl brought a project to us to provide mentoring services to at-risk teenagers in Liberia to help them transition successfully from high school to college. So the third team of fellows goes to UNG with I Am Home. They proposed a project about helping homeless children basically either reconnect with their families or get proper social services to basically help them get off the streets and get back into a loving home. And the fourth and last team of fellows goes to Community-Led Sanitation by Hussein Hassan. And this is a project in northern Somalia that will be building capacity for wash stations and other sort of general sanitation training and education. All of these, all of the ventures will be awarded $1,500 in seed funding and ongoing mentorship services, mentorship and services. And one last big congratulations to all of the teams that participated, both in the finals and in the forum. It was, once again, showed a tremendous amount of talent that's here at Youth Assembly and a tremendous amount of interest in making change today. And we applaud you all, and we appreciate your ideas.
So we just want to leave you with one last thought. I think as you look behind us here with these new Resolution Fellows, there's really two things we want to tell you. The first thing is, please keep up with their work. We will be featuring their work on our website and on Facebook and Twitter for the years to come as they continue to make impact around the world. So we really hope that you, as fellow peers of theirs here at the Youth Assembly, really take a little bit of pride and ownership also in their excellent work in the years to come, because really they were here with you at this extraordinary conference. And the second thing that I just want to leave you with, because this is the fundamental thing that powers the Resolution Project, is that tomorrow's leaders do not need to wait until tomorrow to start having an impact. These young leaders will go home and start having an impact right away. And we invite all of you in the future to come to a Resolution Social Venture Challenge with your own ideas, because really we depend on you. We provide the support, the ecosystem, but you provide the innovation, the ideas, and the energy. So with that, the world is really going in a bright place if there are more young leaders like these behind us. Thank you very much.
Well, that is really wonderful, and certainly, as you also heard Maher say in his talk yesterday, that Ahmed Al-Hindawi, named the Special Envoy for Youth by the Secretary General, sat where you are sitting in 2007, 2009, 2010, and we hope that these new recipients of the Resolution Project Award for their work in social ventures will lead us again, as many, many youth here have become great success stories, and we're very proud of you all. So, closing already. Wow, it went by pretty quickly. Well, thank you very much for being here with us. Remember when we began, I asked you to be here now. And I was really surprised that it didn't look like many of you were doing 2 or 3 things, texting and writing and listening at the same time. There was a real great focus here, and I think you have learned a lot. The only things that I fear is that we didn't focus enough on Africa. We didn't have enough conversation with you. You got to hear a good deal from us. We're going to learn from that and continue to make these programs more interactive. If you can come in the summer, you will find a much more interactive program. because we will be taking over Dag Hammarskjöld Park across the way once again. Can't really do that when it's nippy outside, but it'll be a real opportunity for you to all be able to interact together, and we look forward to that. I hope that you have learned, shared, enjoyed, and grew with us over these 2 days. To those who received support from the Resolution Project, now exiting there, go and do great things. To the rest of us, think about it this way. Don't think about every strand of information or all of the notes that you took or the memories of these speakers in detail, but let them meld together in your mind as a great possibility. The fact that so many people, young and old, are working on global development activities, ones that you can enact and that you can make happen yourselves. We don't focus so much on inspiration here, especially during the executive sessions of the Youth Assembly. But seeing you all here from so many places around the globe, those young and old, working on projects that I think admittedly you have to understand you can achieve. And hearing from the UN on its brand new focus on youth, well, maybe it is inspiring after all. If you think about the fact that all these folks exist just on a real basic level, none of them with more than you have within you, and all in concert with each other, that is perhaps what is most important to take away from here. That it can happen. Whatever you're dreaming about to make the world a better place, it can be done. Have you folks seen any of the street signs in New York City? This is my town, I grew up here, and since the 80s, it's kind of developed a real attitude on its own. One of the signs that's a parking sign in New York City literally says this. It says, "Don't even think about parking here." Now, what other city would say that? There's another one downtown that I saw that said, "What part of no parking don't you understand?" This is what a sign says in New York City. Well, that attitude was created in part by a New York City mayor who died today at the age of 88 years old. He will be buried here in Manhattan. His name is Ed Koch. In part because he really wanted to be buried in this city that eventually defined him, but perhaps in part because nobody else will take us. But he became New York City. His legacy came from mingling in with everyone else. And like him or not, in the 80s, he became the mouth of New York City. And that's the last idea I want to leave you with. No individual is an island. And as the retiring Secretary of State from the United States has noticed, it does take a village to make anything worthwhile. In other words, find your strength from the youth delegate next to you. Become the change you want to see, not the ego you happen to have. Don't forget each other here, and allow this YA to remind you of how much we need each other to work together on global development for peace. Stay with your dream, like those folks who received the Resolution Project Award. Help each other, stay in touch, and promote peace building through an active commitment to sustainable global development. Go in peace, and as our recently deceased mayor might say, pray for the dead, but fight like hell for the living. I want to leave you with our thanks, and especially our thanks to our partners and collaborators on this project, especially among the following: the Permanent Mission of Iraq, which you saw helped us greatly, the Global Partnerships Forum and Amir Dosal, the International Youth Council, who received their individual thanks earlier, Peace Child International, NGO DPI's Executive Committee, who was with us this afternoon, the United Nations Department of Public Information, the Resolution Project, and for me, I guess honestly, most of all, the thanks of my professional staff, my team, my interns, Judith Bueving, our program coordinator, Victor Izquierdo and Yanyu Lee, who many of you met upon entering, and Yin-Chu, are you around? You have to come up. You're back there. And Yin-Chu Joe, to whom I turn over the closing at this point to end on a very, very special artistic note. Yin? Thank you all.
Well, our assembly started with me being here on stage, and I still remain humble to be here to close the session. And the excitement never fades, you know, just seeing everyone and waiting to see who's going to be the next big change maker. As we've heard the past few days, a lot of mention about the UNSG Special Envoy on Youth, who started his journey at the UN through our Youth Assembly last 2007. So I don't want to say anything more because a lot of things have been said, a lot of stories have been shared. I hope you are all informed and inspired and it ignites you to continue the work that you are doing and to re-energize you. Last night, during our campaign night, Patrick told to a group of delegates that what really do young people own? What do young people own? What else do we own other than our own culture and our art and our passion? And so we want to close this session with a musical performance that will show you and demonstrate culture and passion and art of a young and very talented musician. Mr. Matthew Whitaker, who you see on my left, he was born blind as a baby. And if you can guess, he's only 11 years old, and he is truly a gifted musician. But even though he is blind, he pursued his passion to be a very successful musician. And so we want to share with you this special performance. Hopefully, you will stay inspired after hearing him perform. And please do stay in touch with us. Share your stories and your projects wherever you go. And remember, be the change you want to see in the world. Together we can.
もうなんか終わったのあれ。Foundation with doesn't name it. It's hilarious.
じゃあコールか終わってから電話する。
Okay. Up there. What? Sitting here?